Pitbull Cruz at Eastside Pitbull Cruz has just said some things recently about Tank Davis getting hit a lot more his last few fights, pertaining to, I guess, his strategy or other people's strategy. But he was basically saying that since guys have been seeing his strategy a lot more with other guys' strategy, and they're starting to come up with a better game plan when they start to go against guys like Tank Davis. And he said he's getting hit a lot more lately, which is true. But I don't think it has anything to do with the game plan. We have to understand that, and this is no disrespect. Eastside Cruz, I think he fought Tank Davis at like 22, 23 years old. Frank Martin, he started boxing at 17. So to try to have a guy who's already pro ready at 23 go against Tank Davis and try to compare that to a guy who started boxing at 17, had to kind of keep things in perspective. So that's why I say sometimes I have to be realistic when I'm saying, yeah, he did get touched, but I don't feel like he was ever in fear of getting knocked out. He was in fear of possibly getting dropped or knocked off balance, Tank Davis, but as far as losing, I don't feel like he ever felt like he was losing. I feel like in these fights he's had lately, especially like Ryan Garcia and Frank Martin, yes, they were winning on rounds. Like Rolly Romero, you can say, oh yeah, they was winning rounds. Yeah, they were winning rounds, but you already know the equalizer is going to be there. And these are guys who haven't been, I wouldn't say dominated in other fights, but they have been fights prior to Tank Davis, they were shown like weaknesses or little kinks in their armor. And that's kind of what led to what Tank Davis seen. You know, he's a very smart boxer, has very good strategies. He knows what his capabilities are. But with Eastside Cruz saying what he said, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. A lot of people don't go forward with Tank Davis. Ryan Garcia was going forward. He had a little success, but me personally, I don't feel like Ryan Garcia was in the same physical state against Devin Haney that he was against Tank Davis. That's just facts. And everybody knows that. If you don't, you can deny it all you want to. But the physical state he was in was not the same. Even Eastside Cruz knows this. Eastside Cruz wasn't trying to make a match with Ryan Garcia recently because he already said Ryan's not even a 140. He knew it already. Like a week after the fight. It's like Ryan's not a 140. He know Ryan wouldn't make a 140. So he kind of has a better gauge of things because he's in the fight and he knows what's going on. I'm not finna say a guy who been in the ring with Tank, yeah, I know more about Tank than him. I'm not that dumb. But what I will say is he has a point when he's saying about the getting hit. But Tank Davis, he's not really focusing on defense. If he was going in there focusing on defense and just looking for one shot, yeah, he probably would be in a better situation. Because from what I've seen, Eastside Cruz was a lot more aggressive against Tank. And they said Tank had a hurt wrist or a hurt hand or something. But Tank didn't get touched up as much. He did get touched up now. But he didn't get touched up as much against Eastside Cruz physically. You know what I'm saying? Like, overall, Tank blocked a lot of them shots that people were seeing. All the hooks and stuff Eastside Cruz was throwing. I think Frank Martin was a little more precise, and that's being unbiased because I liked Eastside Cruz's performance a little better, but Frank Martin was he was more precise when it came to the shots he was throwing. Even Tank will tell you, like, he was more precise and more strategic. He wasn't as aggressive as he should have been, though. That was the thing about it. So, yeah, I understand what Eastside Cruz was saying, like the strategy, but I don't feel like Frank Martin used the strategy that Eastside Cruz did. If he did, he probably would have had a lot more success. Well, he definitely would have had a lot more success. When he did lean toward being aggressive certain times, when Tank was trailing, and he'll stop and counter, kind of like what Jermaine Ortiz was doing against Teofimo. But he didn't use enough of his abilities to really showcase what he needed to do in that fight. So I will say that Eastside Cruz has a point, but Tank Davis been walking through these shots though. He's not really afraid of these guys' power like that. Can they? Do they have the power to do things against him? Absolutely, but I don't feel like Ryan Garcia had put himself in position to actually have success against Tank Davis the way he was aggressive. That's why a lot of guys aren't really as aggressive against Tank as Ryan was. Then you see him kind of gradually slow down and like, okay, I'm not going to be as fast. I already got dropped. I'm not going to be as aggressive as I was before. But, yeah, he's basically leaning towards that strategy of people being more aggressive, which is true. There's been a lot of guys who was aggressive against Tank, but they don't have the power to, they don't have the chin to withstand the power. You got to have a chin to actually chase after Tank. You got to have some head movement. You got to be able to counter well. And it's just certain strategies against Tank Davis. And then I feel like, me personally, I feel like Tank Davis, he's not used to fighting guys as short. He's used to fighting short guys. Let's not get it twisted. But not as much, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically, somebody the same stature as him, if we, in the fights, I don't want to get out of the way. But, yeah, I don't want to get out of the way because that's too much of a secret. But, yeah, he's done a lot against certain guys. And overall, it's kind of hard to gauge how the work goes against Tank as far as what the damage does to him in the fight. But from what I've seen, yeah, he got touched up against Frank Martin a lot, but he went into that fight ultra aggressive. Ultra aggressive. So I wouldn't really take that as guys are touching up Tank Davis more and they learning stuff. And that you gotta also realize Frank Martin was in the ring with Tank Davis before, so he knows better than anybody that a lot of the stuff that goes on in the ring that people don't realize, Tank is basically walking you into certain things and without you knowing. And with his just ring generalship and his awareness and his IQ, he's a very smart fighter. I think Tank has a higher IQ than De Los Santos does. I think De Los Santos has a very high IQ when it comes to boxing. But I feel like Tank Davis' IQ is light years ahead, because with that same situation that Shakur Stevenson and De Los Santos was in, Tank Davis wouldn't be in that same situation. He would have took more of a risk because he would have known, okay, this is not a fight where I'm going to be winning it. If I just keep trailing Shakur, or I'm just standing here and not really letting my hands go, you're not going to have a record low number of punches getting thrown in a fight with those kind of guys in there. Not saying he's going in there and unleashing anything like that, but just saying his IQ is a lot more higher than to just going in a fight like that and trying to be at a stalemate. But Eastside Cruz, I understand what he's saying. Tank has been getting touched up. It happens in a fight. A lot of guys do. That's why I was trying to figure out what the situation with Boots Ennis was. But I will be honest when I'm ready to be honest about certain situations. And I feel like they are using the strategy a little bit because they are being a little more aggressive lately. Like Rolly was aggressive. Ryan was aggressive. Frank Martin wasn't so much aggressive. He wasn't really aggressive. He said he was kind of sticking with the game plan that Derrick James gave, but he wasn't being as aggressive as Derrick James wanted him to be. So it all kind of backfired, but I understand where Eastside Cruz is coming from. A lot of people did learn a lot from the fight that he had with Tank, but they can't do the certain things because they don't have the chin, the strategies. A lot of these guys don't really dip down. As far as the head movement, yeah, that doesn't mean much. As far as changing levels, everything else, these guys be standing in the same spot. They keep their head in the same level. So that's why a lot of these guys have trouble, because as soon as Tank ducks and throws a right hand or a left hand, left hook, left uppercut, these guys are out of here. Their head sitting right there the whole time, just like with Leo Santa Cruz. But that's all I got, man. Like and subscribe.